Morning, VC. All right, we're going to throw a record on here. All right. A lot of stuff here. So we'll jump into it. Firstly, Jason out in LA was kind enough to negotiate a deal for a record that Alex had found a copy in at WFMU that I was interested in, but it was a little pricey and condition was so-so. So Jason has a contact in Brazil and was able to get a copy of this record for me. And he sent a couple other records in the package as VCLT, which was very kind. And so, yeah, Gilberto Gil, the self-titled first mono pressing on Philips from 1968, I believe. And it's interesting, the side 2 label is on both sides of the record, but the whole record's there, so it's a mislabel, which is interesting. This is in really good shape. Record's VG, bordering on VG+. Yeah, it has some noise on the lead-ins, but other than that, plays fantastic. The guitar playing on this is extraordinary. Fantastic Brazilian record, highly recommend, and one of my favorite album covers ever. Been looking for a copy for many years. Yeah, not the cheapest of records, but that was great to get. What we're listening to is one of the VCLT records. It's called Arkansas Man from 1981. And it's a 2-sided EP. Stephen Clark guitar, Patrick Lavolo bass, and Glenn Sorvisto drums. There's also some horns mixed in with this. So to me they sound like a stripped down Fugazi minus the vocals, add horns on the A side, then there is vocals on the B side. This is fantastic. Really dig this. So yeah, we're listening to the track The Ballroom, which is a side-long deal on the A side. Really cool stuff. Love the guitars. He also threw in Delta Estacio Blues, and I forget the name of the artist. Crap. Anyway, this is really good, and it comes in this strange bag, and it's a gatefolds, Brazilian artist. This came out in 2022. Really varied album. Let me see if I can find the name of the artist because I forget her name. Let's see what it says here. Jucara Marçal, or Marcal, Delta Estacio Blues. Really cool booklet. She sings in Spanish, I believe. Maybe it's Portuguese. I think it's Spanish though. And there's some electronics in this. There's the percussion is a bit on the industrial side, but the singing over it is it's almost like a modern day fusion record from Brazil. But I use that term loosely because there's so much going on, and then there's trumpets in here that are really good mixed in. It's really interesting record. I dig it. It's and again really cool. Gatefold in this cool bag that it was sealed in. Just had to cut the top to get into it, but there's that. I keep the bag with it. The horns on that. Some pre-orders. My number one overall Grail got a reissue from Superior Viaduct. Don Pullen, Milford Graves in concert at Yale University. They duplicated one of the art covers. I think there were only 50 made. And so here it is. This is the double LP variety, which I got. And then the single LP version, which actually I really love the gold cover. I'm still looking for an original of this one because this one's, it's pricey. It can be had under 4 figures, hopefully at some point. Yeah, I think 1966. Phenomenal live performance. Don Pullen, one of my favorite pianists in jazz, and Milford Graves, one of my favorite percussionists, drummers. A perfect duo. Everybody knows these. But I was really excited that those got a proper reissue. This is one that Dom let me know was happening. The Minor Threat 7-inch out of step outtakes. So some rare stuff that they pulled from the vaults of Don Zientara and In My Eyes, Filler, and Adam's Family on Discord. Really cool to see that released. I collect Discord, so that was a no-brainer grab. Another one that was on my list for WFMU, and one that Alex actually was able to find a copy of. I had a list of 15 records. This was one, and I had run across one pop up on at the record store in Vermont. I can't remember their name, Autumn Records or something like that. Aphrodisiaca from John Chakai and Cadencia Nova Danica. Big orchestra here, massive group with John and John doing his thing. Phenomenal record on MPS. It's a gatefold. This is a first German copy. I think there is a first French copy as well, stereo copy. And the French labels are different than the German. The German's a little more plain of a label. This is in immaculate condition. And was a really good price, so that was acquired. I still had a lot of my savings from not going to WFMU, so I've been trying to manage to bring in some things that I would have picked up there. More Mail World, Los Crudos, and the Spitboy split album Viviendo Asperamente, Roughly Living. This is one that Sean had recommended to me a long time ago. Great Chicago heaviness, punk, Los Crudos, and a band that initially Sherv had turned me on to. So that one was there's a bunch of cool inserts with this. It's in a strange thing you gotta open, so I'm not gonna mess with it in the video because there's a lot here to show, but that was a cool finds, very cheap record still. Which is cool. I got a CD here that also came in the mail. Abe Koru, Last Date from August 28th, 1978. This is a Japanese original on DIW as far as the CD version, with the Obi. Solo performance is extremely heavy free jazz. Love this guy. He really takes it to another level with the sax. Some very long pieces here, 3 of them. And there's alto sax improv, there's a guitar improvisation and harmonica on this. He's a very talented musician that his life was cut short. Let's see what we got. New release. Band out of Winston-Salem, Code 7. A band from the later 90s that we used to play with. The band I toured with 5 Times Down. This is the Tuttle Brothers from Winston. Their group. if you like Hope's Fall or bands like that, you probably like Code 7. It's just great rock, beautiful stuff. A little bit on the emo end. And that this is a really nice pressing, really cool. So Go Let It In. It's not the best of album covers or name of a record, but as far as the cover art, I mean, they could have done without the. If they would have just left it this guy out in the field and left whatever this is off, that would have been a great cover. But Equal Vision Records out of Albany, New York, puts out a lot of these heavier, bands from back in the day. I think they're going to be playing a show in Winston with Hope's Fall. But this is going to be up there in my albums of the year from the top. Surprising that they've gotten back together after so long and are doing this again. But this is a great album. Carlson, you should check this out. I think you'd dig it. Sam, the Vinyl Douche. I think you guys would dig this. Code 7. Go Let It In, the new record. That was a pre-order from a while back. That's what you have to do with new stuff now. Let's see, next. I got to dig in at Hardy Boys Records, the new record store down the street from my work. I went down to the Venezuelan restaurant on the corner to get some empanadas and dipped into the record store on lunch one day to see if they had these two records that they posted. It had been 4 or 5 days, so I figured they might be gone, but they were still there. These are two Every Time I Die records that I did not have in any form. The only two I didn't have on CD or vinyl, so I grabbed them. Low Teens from Every Time I Die. They're out of Buffalo, hence low teens, which is usually the damn temperature up there. Epitaph. What do I need to say? This band no longer exists, which is a shame because the brothers had a falling out. But Andy Williams on guitar, one of my favorites. Jordan, they're just fucking killer. Metalcore, I don't know what you want to call it. Just that later on, they got a little more southern rockish in their vibe, which made it even better, in my opinion. I've seen this band tons of times. Every time they've come to North Carolina, I've seen this band. I've hung out with Andy. Andy went to school with a good friend of mine's sister in North Tonawanda, the Rochevaux, so we hit it off pretty easily. And then their album New Junk Aesthetic, featuring Wanderlust and the Marvelous Slut, some great fucking tracks. This one I was surprised to see there, and it was like $19. This record goes for $100. So very stoked to get this because I don't know if these really ever stayed in print because this is from 2009 Epitaph. The other one's is cheap. The Low Teens is a cheap record. That one got pressed a bunch, but that one for some reason is like a $100 record. And then also I grabbed a recent reissue of Radiohead, Hail to the Thief, which I have the limited CD version that I've had since it came out. I didn't have this on vinyl, and this was used cheap, so I grabbed it. It's a double. I think it was initially released as a double 10-inch, but an underrated Radiohead record. I really love this record. And that was a nice brand new copy with Mo-Fi sleeves and the whole deal. So we grabbed that. Everybody knows that one. Lastly, I ordered a new release from Lunchbox, and so went and picked it up. It's the new Mariel Grossman. And this is the only record of hers I've been able to find in Charlotte. Her stuff's pricey. It's on RR Gems. And I know a few folks in the VC have collect all her records, and it's really beautiful spiritual jazz. And she really is like the female version of John Coltrane from Ibiza in Spain. think she's originally from Austria or something like that, but God, she's good. And this band with her is fantastic on this record. It's called Devotion. It's the newest release, and Third Man actually put this out instead of RR Gems, which is odd, but here we are, and it's very well done. Just I love her tone because it just harks back to John, and it is a really solid gatefold, heavy duty, like RR Gems. And it's on there's two different colors of the vinyl. So one is orange. There's the labels. Really nice sleeves. I mean, she made sure that this was done up to code. It sounds fantastic. Yeah, and the band is the guitar player. Man, they're just so good. You know, Eastern European players. I'll show you the other record because it's a different color. This is the indie store exclusive, so it's on this gray. Phenomenal. This was a decent price too to get on new release day. So I was happy that Lunchbox got this. And it's funny, Scott was a little hesitant about it. He's like, yeah, I don't know about Jack White putting out jazz. And I was like, well, this is a good one. They did a great job at Third Man with this. Really impressed. Hopefully they'll do more things like that. Makes it easier to get these records than having to order from Estonia. So that's what I was there to pick up, but of course I look around and some more records happened. So what do we have here? I found this in the used Black Flag My War on SST from 1983. This is a recent reissue of some variety, I would assume, because it was super cheap. This might have been like 15 bucks or something. But it's the Henry Rollins era Black Flag. One I didn't have. Probably one of their biggest records. Great LA punk. Anything Henry, I'm all about it. I love Rollins band. I really love Rollins band. Any time I see any, those records are hard to find. But yeah, so there's that classic. This is a band I just discovered, and because of Richie's recent video, he was talking about Superior Viaduct putting something out. And I was like, you know what? I need to see what that label's been up to because they do so much great stuff. They did these Milford Graves. And I was like, I wonder what else they've been putting out lately. So I looked at Lunchbox just under Superior Viaduct to see what he's got, and there's a ton of great stuff. And I listened to this band, and they're not the best band in the world, but they're good. And it's from way back. That's the band Crime from San Francisco. Punk, but leaning a little more rock at times. San Francisco's Doomed. They reissued this record. And I think I'd heard the name before somebody had mentioned it, but I'd never checked them out. It's not the highest fidelity of stuff, to be fair, but really, really solid band. And there's a ton of songs on here. So some of this is from 78 and some from 79. So they were really early on. Yeah, in that whole deal. Important band, I would assume, being so early in this deal, in the genre. Crime, San Francisco's Doomed. And then I also picked this up. Crime, San Francisco's first and only rock and roll band, live 1978. It's a double 7-inch with a DVD. I wasn't going to get it, but then I saw it has a DVD, so some live footage of the band. Of course, Superior Viaduct put this out, so I freaking grabbed this. It's blue vinyl, gatefold, 7-inch package. This is really cool, like really freaking cool. So I definitely had to grab this on the blue. Can't wait to watch this. Yeah, there's the DVD. I had no idea this was even put out. And I'm not sure when it was put out. I didn't get into all that yet. And then lastly, I went through a section of the store I never go through, the spoken word section. I don't know why. I think it was near the experimental section. And there are a couple interesting things in there for sure. There was a Richard Landry release in there on Unseen Worlds. I almost grabbed it, but it talked about having a ton of vocals on it. So I need to listen to that first. Of course, it's spoken word, but there was the band. There's a whole band deal with it. There was like 4 vocalists, so I'm not sure exactly what all that's about. But then there was this record, and it was super cheap. And I am a Lungfish completist. Anything to do with Daniel Higgs, I find I'm going to grab. This is a horrifyingly terrible cover. Even though it's just him, but he's looking like that's just stupid. But he's in upstate New York, I think, where he recorded this, where that photo was taken by one of the members of the group. But it's the Fool's Sermon Part 1, so it's basically him giving a sermon, but he is playing his banjo at times, which is, it can be very very avant-garde and very well done. And then there's Eli Winograd on bass and bass keyboard, and Fernie Ishii on drums and voice. There's definitely some interesting percussion in the background throughout. This is on a French label, Editions Mego or something like that. Yeah, and also the Ideologic Organ label, recorded in Kingston, New York, spring of 2015. Not an everyday listen, but being, like I said, a Lungfish completist, I grabbed this, and it is interesting. Daniel Higgs he's a weird character, to say the least. I met him at North Star Bar in Philadelphia on the last Lungfish tour. It's the first person I ever met in my life whose hands were all tatted up, and I shook his hand, and I thought that was interesting. That was a long time ago. Philadelphia, what a great trip that was. Anyway, not going to keep you here all day. Hope you're well. Peace.